Greetings, friends, and welcome to today's dose of inspiration. Today I want to talk to you about a matter that might be just a little more weighty than some of the other ones that we have spoken on. And today I want to talk to you about just how much God understands your pain and your grief. I know that not everybody that turns on these devotions each day is going through a happy time and an upbeat experience in their life. I full well understand that there are many of you that are going through some very difficult and challenging times, maybe even times of loss. And when I say loss, I don't even necessarily mean just the death of a loved one or friend. I'm talking about loss in other ways, maybe the loss of a job, the loss of an income, divorce, and things like that. All of those things can be considered a type of loss in our life, and it can bring grief, sadness, and depression. And that's what I want to speak to today, about just how much God really does understand that and how much comfort He can bring to you if you will allow Him to. I know that sometimes we think that God understands us in the good times, but that God doesn't always understand our emotions when they are a bit more negative, but that's just not true. We even see Jesus grieving through a time of loss. When we read the story about Lazarus before Jesus raised him from the dead, Jesus was struck with a moment of sadness. When he got to the town where Lazarus had been buried, and he was confronted by his sisters who said, "Lord, where were you? Had you been here before, then our brother would never have died." And in that moment, the Bible says Jesus wept. I think there are a couple of reasons that Jesus wept, of which we don't have time to go into all of that today, but one of the reasons that I believe Jesus wept was because he saw the grief and the emotion that had overcome these sisters. In that moment, Jesus was overcome with empathy in their situation, and I believe full well that in his humanity and in that moment, he full well understood that grief. You know, I think that even God understands our grief because, after all, He did sacrifice His one and only Son for all of us. As He saw Jesus hanging on the tree that day, taking on Him the burden of the responsibility of all of our sin and the sin of everyone who has ever or will ever lived, God knew grief. He understood it full well. Friends, I don't ever want you to think that God can only understand the happy emotions because God is such a happy, loving God. Although that is true about His character, God also absolutely understands grief and sadness. God's the one who gave you those emotions, so obviously He knows them even better than you do. And here's the good thing. Because He gave you your emotions, and because He has experienced those feelings of sadness and grief, then He absolutely knows how to help you overcome it. He absolutely knows how to pour a joy back into you and to wrap His loving arms around you. Jesus understands enough that as He is sitting there praying and interceding on your behalf as He does daily, then He certainly knows how to ask the Father for an extra dose of comfort when He sees that your heart is breaking. So friends, reach out to Him today. Whatever tough moment you may be experiencing and facing, reach out to Him. Ask Him for that extra dose of comfort, and then let Him pour it over you. Sometimes He's going to do that through natural people around you, and sometimes it's just going to be a divine thing He does in your heart. Either way, He's going to comfort you through this. I want to thank all of you so very much for watching. Until next time, I pray that you will walk in the favor and the blessings of the Lord. See you soon.